One last little note, following AEW Dynamite this past week, I will say it was one of the more sports entertaining versions of AEW Dynamite that they have had since the show has been on the air. I do kind of go back and forth on whether that's a good thing or not. I think every once in a while, though, for them to have an episode of Dynamite that is way more sports entertainment based as opposed to them having solid wrestling matches and angles being shot and it's more kind of skits kind of things, I think that's fine every once in a while. But yeah, AEW has definitely turned more sports entertaining over the last year or so, but this case it was a very good thing. The whole buddy cop thing or odd couple thing with MJF and Adam Cole, I was not wild about it when I first saw that's what they were going to do. Can they coexist? They're going to be a tag team, yada yada yada. But MJF and Adam Cole absolutely knocked this thing out of the park. The little segment they had about lifting weights plays into a lot of what's being talked about with Adam Cole, and he's a very skinny guy, and you know, other wrestlers, Booker T in particular, mocking him for his size and stuff. And then they had this whole segment where Adam Cole was pushing more the same weight that MJF was pushing, and MJF's been getting into bodybuilding and really has transformed his body over the last year. And they had that little joke thing where Adam Cole's just pumping as much weight as he has, and MJF's like, what the, that was fantastic. That was funny. The whole match that they had on the show, and MJF, you cannot take away that this guy is just hands down a fantastic sports entertainer, and he's also a great wrestler. He's got both sides of the wrestling business just under his belt. He knows what to do. He knows how to do it. Yes, we all know at some point in time in the future, he is a WWE type of wrestler. He will probably be there at some point in time in the future. But for now, I just want to enjoy MJF being able, because when he goes to WWE, a lot of the stuff we've seen him do in AEW that's entertaining, he ain't gonna be able to do in WWE, especially with them being even bigger, a bigger corporation now with a lot to answer for. So we might not see him do that there, but while he's in AEW, we can enjoy all of this stuff. And there's tons more for MJF to do, along with Adam Cole, Baby, or I'm better than you, Baby, and you know it, and all this stuff. That's great stuff.
You know who he reminds me of?
Tony Schiavone! Oh God, he's so gross.
I love the fact that the tournaments are continuing. They've got 2 tournaments going on at the same time. This tag team wild card eliminator tournament, which is basically WCW's old Battle Bowl format. And we've also got the Owen Hart male and female tournament. So technically that's 3 tournaments going on at the same time in AEW. And I think it can be a little confusing having that much going on. But I've always said tournaments give a reason for matches to happen, and much like this is kind of the way New Japan books. New Japan has a lot of tournaments, and when you have those matchups in the tournaments, out of that spin storylines and feuds, and I think we're going to see that here. I love the fact that they brought back Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee as they teamed up to take on Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin, and kind of continued this never concluded rivalry between Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland. I don't know if we're ever going to get the one-on-one match between the 2 of them, but I think that's interesting. AEW does drop feuds sometimes. Chris Jericho and Don Callis now may be forming an alliance. It feels like the JAS is on its way out. I think it's about time too for the JAS to kind of end. I think it's done as much as it can do. And Jericho did even say to Sammy Guevara and Daniel Garcia, you guys gonna have to go out and do it on your own now. And they will be teaming up together in the tournament going forward. So there's a lot of moving parts here. Some things are shifting around. I don't know where this Jericho... I wonder if Jericho is going to be taking the place of Bryan Danielson, since Danielson legitimately has a injured arm in the Blood and Guts match that's coming up. I believe it's next week or the week after next week. And of course, the big watch is out for Kota Ibushi. We're still on Kota Ibushi watch. Kota Ibushi is turning into the Thanos of AEW. It's in the sense that if you remember in the MCU, like Thanos... Everybody, all the hardcore fans and the people that read the comics and the people who had the intellectual curiosity to look up Marvel stuff knew who Thanos was and that Thanos was coming and it was a big deal. It's kind of the same thing, but the casuals didn't know who he was, and then he showed up and it was a thing. It's kind of the same thing here with Kota Ibushi. Like, the hardcore fans, the fans like myself who've watched, New Japan and know the history between Kota Ibushi and Kenny Omega are like, oh my God, Kota Ibushi's coming, Kota Ibushi's coming, Kota Ibushi's coming. And I think the other half of the AEW fan base has heard of this. They don't know who Kota Ibushi is. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But that's what it's turned into. We are on watch for Kota Ibushi. They have announced the Blood and Guts match. They also have made mention, which they should have, as I talked about on Twitter, that Eddie Kingston's not going to be in the Blood and Guts match because he's in Japan. He's going to be in New Japan in the G1 tournament for the next month. Danielson being injured, there are 2 blank spots for the Elite and for the Blackpool Combat Club and Takeshita for who's going to be under the 5th man in those Blood and Guts matches. Is Jericho going to be the 5th man for the Combat Club and Don Callis? And is Kota Ibushi going to be the 3rd man for the Elite? I think the Kota Ibushi one, I'm about 50%. I think it's about a 50% chance that it's going to be him. I really don't know about who's taking the place of Danielson in the Blackpool Combat Club for the Blood and Guts match. It could be a number of different people, and a lot of fans have talked about Chris Hero. Fans have talked about them bringing in other people from outside of AEW, maybe somebody from Mexico. Now, they could do a thing where they wait to the night of, where all the guys from the team come in, and then there's a big question, who's the 5th man for each team? That will give some excitement to the Blood and Guts match. Maybe they're going to do it that way, but I expect that if they don't have some major league person, somebody that at least half of the audience is going to know when they come out, that they're not going to make it a big surprise on the day of. It'll be something they'll announce on Dynamite and Collision heading into Blood and Guts coming up pretty soon.